coming out going,
oh yeah,
systemic racism doesn't exist.
sorry,
right?
Toby's like just
That was right into the intro.
Is that the first
Yeah,
thing everyone
I'm
heard?
sorry,
right
I
there?
just realized
that's,
as the music was dying down, like, oh no, wait, how are we gonna?
You know what?
That's-
We're going to title this podcast "Systemic Racism Doesn't Exist." I just want to get that clickbait going.
oh, I don't want to use that.
I don't want to use
For
that.
anyone who wants to hear the whole story, you find us on the part. Wait, what's it on, Brian? The thing before this?
Mixler, the audio. But
Mixler.
just go to
Find us on
franklinarmstrong.com/live, man.
Yeah, franklinarmstrong.com/live. We're usually on there before we come on Facebook Live for at least the first 15, sometimes 20, sometimes even half an hour has happened. But we're just chatting before we go live.
Yeah.
And we talk about a lot of random shit. And what I was talking about just before this, just to put my first statement into context, I like how Brian just put me on. You know, it's like that. You're in a club and talking to someone loudly, and the music is loud, and as soon as you say like "my butt looks big," the music stops, so everybody heard you say "my butt looks big." You know,
it's because I can't hear you guys. Like when I have to play the intro, I have to mute you guys, so I don't hear anything you guys are saying.
Oh, that's amazing.
So that's why I tell you sometimes I'm trying to like make it clear. Hey, by the way, I'm playing the intro. It means I can't hear anything you're about to say.
See,
Freaking love that mask, Brian.
Thank you, Geektastic Cypher mask.
Killed it.
Mask gang. Got my little ninja mask game going.
Yeah,
okay,
you know what? I'm not even gonna go into it. Is it gonna be on the episode?
No, I usually only start the episode after the intro. So.
I see.
Usually,
well, how about today? How about today we make it something different?
Yeah. I completely miss. I have no clue what you guys talked about.
Exactly. So you should listen to it and then leave it on the podcast, then play the intro, and then let them listen to what we're talking about.
That's fair.
Yeah.
People of Earth.
Welcome to another fantastic episode of Montreal's number 3 favorite podcast of all time.
We did
it. It didn't say of all time, but it's only just for 2020. But still,
we did
2021 or 2019 or 2020.
2019. Well, it's just of the moments. They don't really do it as in like.
It's not like the year, right? It's just kind of like it is a year every year, but it's not like of the year.
Yeah,
it's just what's your favorite at the moment.
Yeah.
Anyway, apparently for the third year, number 3. How about that?
Oh shit, that's crazy. That's a good point.
first 2 years we placed 9th place, and for in our 3rd year of being on that Cult Montreal list, we were voted into 3rd place, and I don't know who to thank for that. But I'm just gonna say
I thank the voters. I thank the voters, man. The everyone who went out and voted.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Who are the voters specifically? Because I, write them a little note. Thanks for voting for us. It'd be cool to see who it is. But yeah, I'm proud of what we've done here, guys, in the past 5 years. Almost 6 years now.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, just over 5 years.
That's crazy.
It's nuts, right? It's nuts to think. Time flew. I didn't feel a second of it. I almost didn't feel like we did anything yet. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's kind of nice. It's kind of nice to have this be honestly probably one of the only few staples I've had in my consistent things in my life for the past 5 years. So it's been kind of cool to have this.
That's why that's one of the reasons when we were going to switch over, I asked everybody, I was just like, yo guys, can we keep it at the same time on a weekly basis, even if we can pretty much control whenever we want to do it? And I did that because I like that consistency of us being able to meet at this time and have these conversations.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's a nice cadence. And I think the fact that, once in a while, one of us can't be there for a month or two, whatever, how long it is. And someone always steps in. And shout out to Dave, Mr. Kojiel over there, just stepping in for Jaws D, who's forever a member himself. We actually want him back soon. But it's been nice talking to you too, Dave.
Thank you, sir.
This crazy white boy
adds a different perspective to the flavor we bring. You know what I mean?
Right. I definitely think it's important because there's a whole bunch of stuff going on in the world, like you guys were talking about before. I assume.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's good to just have someone who, on the outside looking in, you can't see the trees from the forest, right? So if you have Dave to just give his 2 cents sometimes and just be like, hey guys, these are some of the things that I have been noticing. I'm equally sad about this stuff as an ally and a person who recognizes the importance of, black people in the community.
And honestly, that's exactly what we were kind of talking about before, is the fact that before we, as in me, you, or anyone of color who's gone through these trials and tribulations, we normally complain and talk about it within ourselves. We rarely have that conversation with our white counterparts.
Oh, yo, I actually had that conversation with my friend. I just had that conversation with one of my friends the other day. She was saying...
but I see a lot more of those conversations happening.
Yeah. She was saying how her boyfriend... Oh, no. It was a post that she saw. But she was saying that if your black friends aren't talking to you about racism, they're actually just your black acquaintance.
Oh.
And I realized, like, that's true.
Not true.
Any of the people that I genuinely talk to, any of my white friends that I genuinely talk to about the things that I face, are the people that I feel comfortable telling my story to. And any of the ones that I don't necessarily feel like talking to them about that stuff is because I don't want to have a deeper discussion. I don't think they would feel, I don't think they would empathize maybe on the same level, or our relationship is surface level. And then I'm just like, oh shit, yeah, those are acquaintances. Those aren't friends.
That's crazy. That I get the sentiment behind that. It's a tad harsh, but I think it's okay that it is. Just to get the point across.
Yeah.
I was about to do that.
Yeah. Wow, that's deep. I was not expecting that right there. Because
There
I'm
you
like,
go.
man, you know what? It would be nice to actually talk about it more frequently and just kind of get different perspectives, and really just to quote unquote educate people and educate myself. If there are things I'm misinformed on, I'd like to know as well.
Yeah.
In a healthy conversational forum, it's okay to butt heads, just like in any situation, but always know that the end goal is to understand each other.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, that's the key thing. It's all about the equality of presence, period. So yeah, I would definitely, and I have been myself, having those conversations more, and by posting these things on my only social media that I really use, Instagram, at that fit dude, if you want to follow me. I just share things that I know, and I've found just by doing that, people are actually reaching out to me and going, hey, like, shit, I didn't know that. Like,
Oh my
this
God,
is,
the amount of people
oh my
who've
God,
said that
this
to
is
me.
disturbing.
Yeah.
Like, just posting the horrifying facts, like things that actually did happen that has been, for lack of a better word, whitewashed in history, and things that are just, now history is just a bunch of fluff. It's like, we went to this place and we conquered, but like, how did you conquer? Like, what went down underneath all those things? You know, where are the black historical figures that actually made a difference in this country? The Spanish ones, the whatever different ethnicity one. And then obviously, like, showing people the actual trials of generations past in the black community. We've spoken about Tulsa before. There was a bunch of riots in New Jersey. I posted again recently on my story. I have a whole list of different points in time where black people tried to prosper in different parts of America. And either the KKK or some white delegation decided they did not want them to prosper and came into their community and burnt it all to the ground and murdered people in the streets.
Dude, I realized the other day that Central Park, I've always said to people, I don't like Central Park.
There you go. Here's another one.
People are always just like, why don't you like Central Park? I'm just like, because I feel like Central Park is just this weird thing in the middle of the city. Everyone's just like, yeah, but if they didn't have it, they wouldn't have any green space. And I'm like, I don't know. Something feels weird about Central Park. I just never liked Central Park. It's beautiful to see, but it's something about it I didn't like. And then one day I read...
Was it my post?
No, I actually knew about it before I saw your post, but it is important that people share that story.
That was the first time I learned about it, because now I'm doing more research into the things I know, right? Yeah. This is literally, on top of the crap that I know, now I have a bunch more that I didn't know.
Central Park was a black, essentially a predominantly black, like home, like a town. They'd kind of built this black community in the middle of New York, and then they decided they wanted to make it a park. Even though a large black community was there, this is when they were just like, oh, what was it, Seneca?
I think so. I'd have to look it up as we speak, but actually, let me do that quickly then.
Yeah, but it was a park that was a predominantly black park, and then if I'm not mistaken, there was also some Irish who had been in parts of it too. And
Seneca Village.
Look Village.
Up Seneca Village on Wikipedia. It's got the history for you there.
And then at one point they decided to build Central Park because New York needed this green space in the middle of the city that was going to be this beautiful, important, wondrous park that would reflect all the wonder of New York City and the culture that it was bringing. No, it was just an excuse to move black people out of a neighborhood that they had built. And then that's why the north of the island of Manhattan became a predominantly black community, because they moved out of the park and into the northern part of the city. And New York will and they erased that history because Central Park is not, they didn't keep the name Seneca Village, and it's not referred to. It's not in the time that I discussed American history in school, or if I learned about New York's history, no one ever talked about it. Even when I did Black history in school,
that's what I'm saying. Yeah. This was news to me. I go to New York all the damn time. And did not know this at all. Yeah. And then this started making me question almost every single thing around me.
Yeah.
And it's just like, okay, just to sum it up. If you think this whole thing that's going on right now is only about the murder of George Floyd, then you've missed the point completely.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, do you think there are people out there who genuinely think that's the only thing it's about? They can't. They can't. They can't. Toby, don't tell me they can't.
Okay, if you're hearing the phrase, and this is a common phrase now, if you're hearing the phrase, what would George Floyd think? That tells you why.
I don't even know why people say that stuff.
Exactly. It's because they think it's about that. They think it's just about people getting killed in the streets.
That
like, it's not just about the cops. It's a whole heap of things that we cannot write down. They cannot write down.
Yeah. I think one of the things that makes me hopeful with this whole situation these days is the fact that you can't, you know how they always say once something's on the internet, you can never erase it. And that's always been a big part of our entire lives growing up. They're always just like, the internet, once it's on there, you can't erase it. Once it's on there, you can't erase it. You know, nude pics, this, that, or the other thing, you can't erase it. Well, guys, you can't erase what y'all have done. This is it. This is the one time where, as much like every history book you've ever written, you got to erase everything. But this one goes down in history because this shit is visible. It is everywhere. It is now.
If you don't think it's in Canada too, you tell me it's less. I'm not ready to have that conversation with people.
Yeah.
We're gonna stick to the American side of things for now, and we'll move on as things progress.
Well, you know what? If anything,
but we can also dig into the systemic racism in Canada as well, not just against blacks, obviously, and probably more so against the natives of Canada, this land.
Yeah.
It's still prevalent. Yeah.
Someone in a black nerd group that I was part of was telling me, like, I'd posted about some of the stuff that happens in Canada, and they're just like, man, I heard you guys had it bad, but I heard your natives have it worse. And I was just like, do our natives have it worse? And then I realized he meant your natives have it worse in comparison to the American natives, because he was talking about. So I was just like, oh, I didn't even realize that's what he meant at first. But then, like, yes, natives in Canada have it definitely worse than I would say natives in America.
Okay, so I found a book that.
Did we lose Skinny, by the way? I don't see Skinny or hear him.
No, he is there. I think he's just busy.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm trying to find this right now as I speak, but I came across this. Oh, so there's a book called The Complete Canadian Curriculum. Do you recognize this? I'm just going to show you guys through the camera here. It's kind of like these books you would have in like grade, in elementary school.
No, I don't.
They have like little puzzles and questions and challenges. Anyway.
Okay.
So an 8-year-old, she brought this home, and her mom, or I guess one of her parents, while going through section 8, the theme of section 8 is called moving out. Okay. Now you could use any example of what moving out is.
I've heard this.
You could have said Kate and her family have lived in this neighborhood with all their friends for the past 15 years, but Kate's dad decided it was time to move. Like explaining what moving out is to an 8-year-old, whatever that is. What they choose to say.
This is crazy. This is crazy, by the way. When I saw this the first time, I was just like, this can't be real. This can't be real. This cannot be real.
And you looked it up, right?
Well, no, I mean, I didn't look into it more. I just saw someone post that. How are they teaching this to kids? No wonder they don't understand. Anyways, I'll let you
Under moving out, it says, when the European settlers arrived, they needed land to live on. The First Nations peoples agreed to move to a different area to make room for the new settlements.
Oh my God. My God. And I would just like to point out, we're laughing because of how insane it is, not at the situation. We're just laughing at the idea that someone decided to write a history book and in writing that history, decided instead. No, it's not even history. They're explaining a concept to a young child, and the way they're explaining the concept of moving out is to lump a drastically detailed historical moment in with the simplicity of John's dad moved out. The Native Americans moved out. Like, you have to be kidding me. Like,
how do you not as a how do you not as a conspiracy theorist go, was this done on purpose? Like, well, how do you even think that's a normal thing to put in a book? But it must be, again, I also blame it on ignorance. Those people putting it in there don't know better themselves.
Oh, wait, hold on. No. They knew better. They did it on purpose. Toby.
I can't speak to that for a fact until I know for a fact. But you know what?
I know exactly what you're doing, because I always do the same thing. We are playing devil's advocate, and you and I love to live in facts. We wanna definitely present a factual statement and argument. Yeah. But I'm sorry, I as much as that is normally what we do in this situation, I'm going to say they knew what they were doing, because you can't take such a large historical moment and present it as just another easygoing moment. It's insane to pretend like Native Americans moving off the land so politely on their horses and their little bags over their shoulders is the same thing as a kid and his and their parents moving into a new home. You can't. I'm sorry.
It is so good that it actually says the First Nations people agreed to move to a different.
Jesus. Dude.
It was golden. So anyway, if you guys want to find out for yourself, because I looked into it, it's real. They actually apologized and said they can take this out of the book. But it's the Complete Canadian Curriculum 3, and just Google that, and I'm sure it'll pop up.
Good.
And make sure you type in the keyword "moving out."
Yeah. We're probably gonna throughout the episode end up talking about some of this stuff, but in the meantime, I do want to.
It's all relevant.
Yeah. I do want to do a quick touch on something that I wrote down. The Cult MTL, because Toby did mention it. We did get to number 3 in the best podcast category in Best of Montreal, held in Cult MTL every year. First off, as Toby said, we want to thank everyone that voted for us. I see some of the people. I saw Lee J wrote that he voted for us once upon a time, and we definitely appreciate his vote and all the votes of every single person that supported us and anyone that has been supporting the podcast. It means a lot to us to jump up 6 points. That's big. That's really big. For us to go from 9 to 3 is huge, and we appreciate it.
I wouldn't be surprised if all the votes were Lee J, because honestly, this guy deserves his own standing ovation, honestly, for being a diehard fan, bro. We appreciate it.
But yeah,
and to anyone else that voted, honestly, thank you.
Exactly. And I just wanted to give a quick shout out to all the other people that supported us and mentioned to their followers to vote for us, who also ended up in the top 5 for their respective categories. For Best Comedian, we got Akeem. You guys can follow him on Instagram at Akeem Grams or on Twitter at Akeem Tweets with a Z. He always puts one at the end. Shout outs to Skinny for hooking up and introducing us to Akeem in the first place. He came in at number 5 in Best. That's all Danny. That's all. Sorry.
That's all Danny. They went to camp together as kids, so I didn't know him before, and she recommended him. So
dope. Shout outs to Danny. Danny's like our booking agent. Danny.
yeah, kind of.
Shout outs to Urban Science Brass Band and their whole crew. They got number 4 in Best Hip Hop Act. Shout outs to Tristan D. Lala, who got number 5 in Best Actor. Michelle Franklin, who got number 2 for Best Living Author. And shout outs to the guys over at Crossover Comics for Best Comic Book Store. They got number 2.
Sweet.
Yeah, man. So that's I just wanted to give a shout out to all those people. I think that it when I spoke to the people over at Cult last month about them releasing the magazine. Last month they didn't release it as a physical. They only released it digitally. This month they are releasing a physical because there was the expectation that things would be opening up slowly. And they're correct. Restaurants and businesses are starting to open back up in and around the city of Montreal and pretty much a lot of places. I'm still a little concerned, but I do have my mask now, so I'll probably feel a little bit more comfortable going out in public. I don't think I'll be going to a restaurant anytime soon, but if you guys do want a physical copy of the Cult MTL, it's gonna be back in its usual spots, cafes and whatnot in and around Montreal and anywhere else you can pick it up. So I think you can just check out on their website cultmtl.com and you can find it there. But yeah, that's pretty much all the things I wanted to mention. Just real quick, because yeah, that was pretty big, man. For us to go from 9 to 3, I was hoping who is it? Was it you, Toby? That was just like, yeah, man, I just want to be. We're jumping to top spot. You said you're just like, yeah. So to you, man.
I said number 1, but I mean, I'll take 3. That's okay.
Yeah, you know?
Yeah. I was not as hopeful for number 1. Not.
Yeah, you guys were like, even just moving up 1 spot would be all right.
I thought deep down we'd crack 5.
Legit. I thought so too.
I wanted to think so, but I also didn't want to get my hopes up and then be sad.
Honestly, I've looked at the numbers recently, and the numbers speak. I had a feeling that it was going to happen in that sense.
True.
Yeah, and we'll just keep pushing.
Yeah, man.
Just guys just having conversations, and we decide to just record it for everyone else to ridicule. So
it's fun.
It's never easy to put yourself out there. So
I love doing this podcast, man. That's one of the things I genuinely like having these conversations with you guys. And one of the things that we talked about is the fact that being in quarantine, this is the 13th episode we've done this way because the world got.
Wait, hold on. We've done 13 quarantine episodes?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've done 20 episodes this year, and 13 of them have been in quarantine.
Wow.
Yeah, that's it, man. Like, that's the other crazy part. Like, it's been a really wild, insane, emotional couple months. When you think about it, like 3 months of being home and dealing with everything. So, that the other thing that I wanted to say is thank you to you guys for being the team that I get to do this on a weekly basis with, that makes it fun for me even if I'm in quarantine. And thank you for everyone, Devin, Lee J. Today we have Lorena, Jay Grizz, who else?
Mark Phillips.
Yeah, Mark Phillips, like all the Eva, who just started watching, and anyone who's been joining us or has joined us in the past 13 weeks that we've been dealing with the quarantine, that turned to us for a little bit of a respite with regards to everything that's happening. We appreciate it because we just like to talk shit and fuck around, and that and it's great that you guys like to tune in and do it with us. So
yeah. Sometimes it's fun, sometimes it's serious, sometimes it's a mix of both. Sometimes it might not be for you, it might just be for us, but we're still here doing it anyway.
We try not to be selfish too many times.
Especially those moments where we geek out. I feel like we forget people are going to listen to this later.
Oh, true. There've been times where we've got into like deep geek conversations, and I'm like, oh man, I don't know if that was accessible as I think it is. Like, I remember, shout out to Andy, one of the guys that was tuning in from the beginning. I still think he tunes in every once in a while because I see his comments. Shout out to Mark. He just wrote hello. But Andy was saying like, yo, one of the things I like about your podcast is you guys make it accessible. Like, if I don't, I never feel like I'm listening to like, highbrow snobby nerds. Like, you guys will talk about it and then break it down so I can understand if you feel like people might not get it.
Yeah.
But there's definitely conversation.
I find myself doing that a lot. Like, when someone's talking and I feel like, oh crap, the people listening are not going to get it, I'm going to be like, oh, so in case for those listening, you feel like you got to explain what you just said. But it's all part of it.
Yeah.
Skinny, you're quiet, bro. What script are you reading today?
I know.
I'm just, feeling, not much. I'm hanging. I'm good.
He's sporting the Fantastic Four shirt. Is that a nod to our homie Josh, the director, who went out publicly saying, I tried to get y'all a Black Sue Storm. The studio wouldn't give it to us.
He's talking about a trilogy. I don't believe
this dude needs to shut up.
But sure, if that's what it is, yeah, that's what it's for. Yeah.
But I mean, this man needs to stop talking. Listen, dude, your career, you've burnt it. You did the Chronicle. That was dope. You went on to do Fantastic Four. It was not good. You can blame the studio all you want. It wasn't good. Let it go. Stop trying to bring it up. Stop talking about doing more. It's over. And then you did this Capone movie that, again, one of the things I always ask is, did we need a Capone movie when Capone is old and not really a mobster anymore? He's lost his mind to syphilis and is like crazy and they're saying he has the mental capacity of a small child at this point. Why is that a movie I would need to see?
What is the point?
But Josh, for some reason, thought, "Hey guys, this is how I'm making my comeback."
Like, movie? Nah, I don't know.
Yeah, I think for Fantastic Four, there was like two things going against them. The first is that the studio had to use the property before they lost the rights to it.
Yep.
That in itself, and having someone who has a script and some idea ready to go was also what was working against them, because there was no one there to go, yo, your shit is shit.
Yeah.
Rewrite this. They're like, you know what? They're like, you know what? That'll do. We just want to put a movie out, put some big name guys on it, pay them just so we don't lose the rights to these characters, which they eventually ended up losing anyway, because nobody's not gonna go want to see.
Yeah. Yo, it's so aggravating when you think about the fact that Disney came along and bought out Fox anyways. So you guys made that trash ass movie for nothing. For no reason. You spat on the name of the Fantastic Four for absolutely no reason.
They did the same with the X-Men, man. I'm not gonna lie. I think they knew they were gonna be bought out eventually, and just decided to shit on as many properties as possible.
Fox's last laugh.
It's not even that the movies were bad. Okay, yes, they were bad, but it was the reluctance of them not wanting to do what the fans were clearly telling them to do. We were directing the movies for them. We gave them the stories. We gave them the character lineups we wanted. Yes. And for no matter what reason, either Kimberg or whoever it may be, always are just like, no.
Yeah.
I don't want to do that.
Yeah, the decision to not go for the costumes.
Yeah.
Why?
That's huge. That's literally the reason why Marvel is like the MCU's winning.
Yeah.
You have all these different costumes. The toys are selling like hotcakes because of that.
I get it at first. If you don't want to try it back in 2000, you guys are like spearheading the whole superhero thing. Sure.
No, they weren't. They weren't the first to do it.
They weren't the first, but they were the most popular. I agree with Skinny. They like X-Men and Spider-Man was Sony, but
so X-Men and I guess Blade.
Yeah, those were like the OG.
Superman. You guys can say it all you want, but they did make quite a bit of money.
Yeah,
Batman.
yeah.
No, I always said it was Blade. Blade's the one that changed the tide.
But that's what I'm saying, because Toby, you're talking about movies that are what, late 90s. Well, no, first Superman is late 70s is the first Superman. Then you go into Batman, you're looking late 90s, late 80s, early 90s. Sorry. Yeah. Then you have a kind of a gap. There's like not as many super big superhero movies. Then like Dave said. Phantom. Yeah, and then like Dave said, then you start getting into like Blade. You start getting your Spider-Man, your X-Men. So that's when Marvel really solidified itself as like the go-to for which characters people want to see on the big screen. And then 2008, Marvel shows up saying, hey, we actually own some of these characters. You motherfuckers are making famous on these big-ass screens. Maybe we should get in the game. Hey, who's a character we have that no one gives about? Oh, Iron Man? Yeah, just throw him on the screen. Favreau, what are you doing this weekend?
I would love. I don't know if there's been an article or some kind of information on how they arrived on.
Oh my God, yeah, that conversation must.
I would like to know why they chose Iron Man. To this day, I never understood Iron Man. Even if you were going to do Avengers, I was surprised you chose Iron Man.
But, okay, Skinny, what were you saying?
Sorry, they have this thing where they go with the most ridiculous shit first. Right? So
he's not wrong. If you could make the most, if you're
going to try and push things, people are going to believe in a Asgardian and Thunder God. People are going to believe in a Captain America, but everyone's going to be like, what the fuck you mean Iron Man? That doesn't even make sense, right? Yeah. That's why for the second go around they did Guardians of the Galaxy. People are like, really? That's a dice roll. It's like, no, it's not really. It's Marvel. They go with the most ridiculous shit first, and they build off that so that you have no reason but to get into that weird shit. So that you know what's up with the regular stuff you're probably into.
Yeah,
I can see that.
Yeah, I agree.
Because Iron Man, Hulk, Captain America, Thor, it like makes sense.
Yeah. Wasn't the Hulk movies before X-Men?
No, you're talking about the Ang Lee one.
Ang Lee, Hulk.
That's
Ang Lee wasn't before X-Men.
No.
It was the same year, wasn't it?
No,
not even the same year. He's after.
Yeah, after.
But you know what?
It's after X2.
But the other thing, thing is, if Feige was actually sticking to, and once again, this is one of those moments where we get real geeky out here for you guys. So if you guys are not as knowledgeable about this stuff, stick with us. This is more of the movie stuff. It is fun.
All of us wish you will.
But for those of you who know, the Trinity in Marvel is considered to be Iron Man, Captain America, and Thor. The idea being the money, so Iron Man, the man, so Captain America, and the God. That's the trinity that they're trying to build. So when you start with money, I mean, that makes sense. Here's a guy whose only claim to fame and is that he's very smart. Well, they're all very smart, but he's very smart and he's rich.
Mm-hmm.
So he's the money. Then and he's also, I would say that he's the brain. Then you have the guy that comes along who is scrawny as hell and hides behind a trash can cover, but will fight till the day he dies, and that's the heart, and that's your Captain America. And then you have your strength. You have, I mean, I guess you could argue between Hulk and Thor, but if you're sticking with the ones produced only by MCU, you have Thor, who's your strength.
Yeah.
So that's what they were building. That's that trinity.
Yeah.
And then so if anything, funny enough, we answer our own question. That's why you start with Tony, because you start with the brain, then you give us the strength and the heart.
Okay, another interesting dichotomy.
Yeah.
Okay. Either way, I'm pretty sure there's some footage somewhere of them talking about it beforehand and probably laughing to each other and saying, this might not work, but we're Disney, we have money.
Yeah,
we can try again.
My question to you guys is, who do you think the starting lineup of the X-Men is going to be?
Starting lineup.
If they're smart,
I would really like that they go with the OG.
Yes.
No.
If they're smart.
I feel like they're going to do that and also throw in Havoc and Polaris just because.
Interesting.
Because in the comics, in Giant Size X-Men, by the time they save them, Havoc and Polaris are on the X-Men. So I think they'll do that, but they're not going to give you Wolverine right away. No. They might give you Storm right away to save time, but I don't think so.
No, I think if they did it smart, you'd have the original X-Men be in this movie, and then by the end, there's like a tease of what's to come. You know what I mean? Like you'd see like, oh, we have some people we have our eye on, and some are already here, and you see like one or two X-Men walk, and you're like, oh, and then the next one is like more blue team, gold team starting to form.
I still think the easiest thing to do would be to drop Storm in Africa with Wakanda, so that Black Panther meets her, and to drop something in the multiverse with Doctor Strange to just introduce characters.
I think it'll be Rogue.
Oh, yes. No. With Captain Marvel in her next movie? Oh,
no,
man.
No. I think that's going to be later on. I think that's going to be like second movie. That's how she's going to be in the X-Men.
But if you do that,
like you have the X-Men movie, and then that happens right after or at the same time.
I'll say this though. If you do that with introducing Rogue and Captain Marvel, you're going to have to pull Brie Larson out and Captain Marvel out.
I think they're ready to do that.
Shit,
they only have her on for what's her movie deal?
I don't know.
Hold on. I think it's like 3 movies. So that's perfect.
That seems like a waste to me.
You could have the original X-Men on one movie, and at the same time as you could have Storm and Rogue introduced to the other movies. And if you have other movies going, like you could easily make X-Men 1, but make X-Men 2 really big by having other X-Men in other of the other movies, and they all just go there to the mansion by the end of their movie.
Okay, so wait, hold on. So skinny. I think your question is now who is it going to be? Are we talking original 3 or 5 right now first?
But also, my question: are we talking about introduction, or we're talking about by the time they get to the movie? Okay, sorry, yeah, you and I are on the same page. Right. Because Dave's talking about something different.
I very much agree with you, Toby. I'm going to answer your question. Brian, I see you.
Okay.
So more or less, how they will do it. Because keep in mind, like the comics are good, but Storm and Cyclops be like close to the same age or something, but they never age. Like if Cyclops joined when he joined, right?
Yeah.
Technically, by the time Storm joined, he should be way older than Storm.
Yes.
But he's never way older than Storm. You know what I mean? So what they would have to do is have the movie start where Xavier's either already training the X-Men, and the X-Men he was hiding from the MCU were the original 5. While they're also doing that shit and possibly meeting up with Magneto and the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants, which includes, couldn't include Scarlet Witch or Quicksilver, but like Toad, Mastermind, and like, I don't know, throw in Pyro for whatever reason. Maybe have
Blob easily.
Right, Blob easily, okay. While they're doing that, you also do an Elsewhere at the same time, whereas Storm already exists, and she's the same age as the rest of the X-Men that are there, but she's in Africa, and she's not in like, you know what I mean? She's in Africa, and that's where she meets Black Panther.
Yeah.
Black Panther 2. Rogue could also be the same age, maybe a little bit younger, and possibly bring her into Captain Marvel 2, or I don't know, but we'll see. Because depending if they do in Captain Marvel 2, they include is it the Hellions that was Mystique's team?
Yeah. Okay. I don't remember if that's the name, but yeah, I remember who you're talking about.
I don't know if they could work this into Captain Marvel 2 because she's already kind of like gone away to find the Skrulls a new planet. Maybe, perhaps they could kind of finagle it so that she at one point came back to Earth, lost her powers, amnesia, and then got him back and just took off again. Or maybe.
But you know what? Here's the thing. One of the things that I'm actually annoyed about is why don't, like, first of all, shouldn't they give us the story of what happened between her first movie and when she goes against Thanos? And in that movie, that's when she could maybe lose her powers. So somewhere in the 90s, like in the like late 90s, early 2000s, she loses her powers, gets amnesia because she comes back to Earth, loses her powers, gets amnesia, everything you're saying, but then you jump forward, she's back to full power by the time all this stuff happens. It's just this wild story that she doesn't remember everything.
Yeah. And remember in the comics at some point, in between losing her powers from Rogue, she ended up becoming binary, and she was a part of like the Shi'ar Imperial Guard for like 9 years. And then she just came back as Ms. Marvel. So if they could work that, I don't know.
Okay, so by your definition now, the team already consists of Rogue, Storm, and
not Rogue and Storm. No, they're not. They haven't been recruited yet. They're just the same age as the regular X-Men. The team consists of the original 5: Cyclops, Beast, Angel, Jean Grey. Yeah.
And what?
Who am I forgetting? Cyclops, Beast, Angel, Jean Grey.
Iceman.
Iceman.
Yeah. Bobby Drake was one of the original.
No.
Bye.
You guys have to bring Bobby. Bobby is one of those important characters for multiple reasons. One, he's an Omega level character, and two, if you're going for the LGBTQ, he's an outed character now. And I know that's unfortunate that I'm thinking like that I'm thinking corporate and how do you do diversity, but I know that's how Disney and Marvel will think. I'm being realistic, if anything. So
you could tell the story through his eyes too, as a youth lens.
Interesting. How about just Cyclops? I'll give you Iceman and Beast because Beast is Beast.
Yeah.
Angel, I'm a little hesitant on, but I'm okay with that, I guess.
Yeah, but that's an all-male team at that point.
I'll tell you why you need Angel.
I'm trying to think about his validity in this because I'm like, do we bring in Jean Grey again?
Yes, you have to.
Not be in the... Oh no, wait, she has to. She's in the top 5 for sure.
Yeah, she's an OG. She's an OG.
You could introduce Jean Grey, who's kind of already dealt with it though, if they really wanted to.
My problem with Jean Grey existing...
Jay Grizz wrote, apparently Rogue is being introduced in Captain Marvel 2. What about the lame-ass Dazzler?
Dazzler's there. Stop that. Don't do that to Dazzler.
Dazzler had her moment.
Dazzler's hard.
In the new X-Men movie. They showed her putting on a show in the woods.
Oh, yes. I was trying to remember. I was just like, wait, when was Dazzler there?
It was a quick, like, 5-second shot of her putting on a show. But I just don't want to put Jean Grey in because I feel like when Jean Grey is in any situation, I know. Can we retcon her? Because she's important. She's important, but she's important to the comic verse. I feel like to the movies, they write things into a hole because it almost all leads up to this damn
Skinny's
Phoenix
making
event.
a face. Take a breath, Skinny. Take a breath.
Wait.
Skinny's face.
There's multiple
You got it. That was his excited face.
I know.
Multiple universes, right?
Yeah.
There's multiple universes, and at the end of Dark Phoenix, we saw her in the multiple universes.
We go to a universe where Jean Grey doesn't exist.
Wait, no. There's always
damn it.
There's always multiple universes, but there's only ever one Phoenix.
Okay.
You use her as the character to cross over from Fox. She's been Phoenix. She comes back home, doesn't remember shit, but she's Jean Grey, same age. Good. You get Sophie Turner again.
You still want to bring her back?
Too much work.
That's what
I don't.
That's easy writing. I just wrote it.
Too much work.
No. It
Funny.
sounds easy to you, but I think they're gonna look at it.
That's they're gonna multiverse of madness.
Oh, man.
Yeah, as long as we
feel
go
like
to a place,
do a mic drop.
as long as we
You
go
gotta
to a
get that
place
sound.
where Jean Grey does not exist, I'm down with that. I
Nah,
legit. I'm not saying that I don't like her as a character and as
You're
a female
heartless.
character or nothing. It's just that the love triangle, everything has just been a distraction. You know what I mean?
Okay, but
the story, maybe they could change the story.
Okay,
up.
I was gonna say, bring Jean back and do away with her and Scott as a couple.
Yes.
You don't need Jean Grey to be in love with Scott. You don't need Wolverine to come and try and turn everything over, even though he comes in when she's essentially like 19 and is for some odd reason pursuing this teenage girl. Calm down, Logan. Stop making us Canadians look bad.
Was in love with her. Stop that.
Say what? Say what?
Professor X was in love with the girl from the time he met her at 12, all right?
Ew.
So,
He's Renee Angeline. Sorry. Rest in peace to Renee Angeline, but I'm just saying, homeboy was in love with Celine when he was. Anyways.
Damn.
True.
Hey, at least I didn't throw hate on Dan Harmon.
I know. I think that was more allowed than. And the counter keeps going for DH being mentioned on our podcast.
I love that Dave just went out of frame. He's just like, I don't want to be associated with this one. Look, when the Dion stand starts showing up in our mentions, I'm not saying anything's wrong with Celine Dion. I'm just saying. Anyways. No. But yeah, Charles Xavier needs to calm down with his love interest, and we need. That's one of the things. I've had this conversation with my partner, and I've had this conversation with a few other people about how we could easily write these stories without love interest being such a major part, and they would be more interesting. And I think the idea that, back in the day, they used to write the love interest because they wanted girls to feel like connected. That's dead ass. That's dead ass old school. That does not apply anymore. Men, women, non-binary, everyone's into the story now. If you write a good story, people will be there. You don't need to put in things.
We don't need a damn cute.
Yeah, we don't need that stuff. Unless for the people who want to bring their girlfriends who like the romantic comedies, just let them know in advance. This is not a romantic comedy. There's no romance. Why would a guy with a concussive blast coming out of his eyeballs need to be in love with a girl who can move things with her mind? Why do you need that to entertain yourselves? You don't think the concussive blast from his eyes is entertaining enough? What more do you need?
One family holds like a big part of the entire like X story, if you really think about it. Without
it does.
Yeah.
You don't have cable.
They're like the Skywalkers of the fucking X verse, and we can move away from them.
That is huge.
It's
Skywalkers of that needs to be the name of this
title.
That is the name of it. I'm gonna write it right now.
Write it down.
That is crazy.
The Skywalkers.
Yeah, you can actually do that, Brian. You could get rid of their love triangle and really only kind of introduce it if they were to ever meet Cable, if they bring him back, and then
Yo, hear me out though. How about this then?
Well,
how about there is no X Mansion? There is no X-Men as we know it.
Okay.
And they're just always runaways. They have a hideaway dungeon. Charles Xavier is still the leader, but he's kind of like what's it called? A faction leader underground.
Oh.
They're not in plain sight like the Avengers are.
But
let's take them underground.
You know what you're doing?
Just change it all up.
You know what you're doing? Funny enough, you're not even changing it. You're just getting rid of the passable mutants.
Yeah.
Because once they go into the sewers, what's Gambit and Storm's crew that's in the sewers?
Morlocks.
You're essentially talking about doing the Morlocks and just doing away with, because isn't that the whole point of the Morlock movement?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I want to see more.
You made a face. What are your thoughts, Skinny? The mansion's important. The Blackbird's
do
important?
you really want to see more of the same when it comes to the X-Men? Just because you want to see them in costume?
No, because it won't be the same. That's the thing. Like, it will not be
precisely.
But mind you, they've never done They've never done the Cyclops Jean Grey angle ever correctly, though, in any version of any of the stories. Except
I don't need them to get it right. You know what they never did correctly in the Spider-Man movies? The Uncle Ben moments. And when they finally did away with it, boom.
Good.
It was perfect.
It's true.
No, I don't need that. I don't need to. I don't need to see that. Maybe they could even like, only introduce the Phoenix into like their kids in the future if they they don't.
Possibly it skipped a damn generation for the first time in history. Like let's just like do that. I don't know. And it's not a generational disease by any chance. I'm just
really friggin' nuts. What if they just did Age of Apocalypse right off the bat?
Oh shit.
I'm good with that.
Oh shit.
Like just.
I'm good with that.
They just start off with that.
That's what I'm saying. I don't need the intros. I don't need the backstories. I don't need any of that stuff anymore. Matter of fact, what I would like to see is Gambit and Rogue, since Rogue might be a player. Bring that love story, and if you really need a love story.
True.
That forbidden fruit, that forbidden love kind of situation, you know?
And I'd like to point out that their love story doesn't destroy the universe every 2 seconds.
Right?
Like, Jean Grey's inability to control her emotions because of her love for Scott is a major problem every time they tell the story. Whereas Rogue's emotional attachment to Gambit is like, listen here, Playboy, you got a cute little ass, but I don't know if I really need you right now. And then he's just like, mon cher petit.
She is the originator of social distancing.
Yo, exactly. Meanwhile, you have Gambit's just like, bon, mon chéri, I'll show you the love. And it's like, okay, cool.
I show you the love.
He's legit Pepe Le Pew.
Yeah, these two are just they're just a weird love relationship, and you're just like, okay, I'm here for it, whatever.
Yeah, it's interesting too, and like just to see the way it motivates Gambit as well.
Yes. Because that man's because Gambit's not a good person. That's one of the things I like about Gambit. He's one of my favorite characters, but let's not pretend like Gambit does things because he loves people. Gambit does things because Gambit wants to make that money, and then when he meets Rogue, he finally realizes, oh, I can kind of fucks with somebody like this for a while. And he sticks around. And that's it. It's not because he cared that much about the grand story of saving all mutant kind. His name
is literally Gambit, the definition of the word.
Yeah.
You know?
And unfortunately, one of the things that they'll need to address a bit more in the comic book, in the movies, is people who can pass and people who can't pass. Gambit can pass. Gambit does not have to use his power publicly or any at all. He doesn't, and he can control how much charge he puts in things. So if Gambit never needs to blow anything up, he lives his life as a human being under disguise. Rogue lives her life as just a girl who likes to wear gloves and looks a little eccentric. Well, modern universe, guess what? She would be we all look like Rogue now. We all got gloves and masks on. The one person,
that's what I'm saying.
The one character who would look normal right now in a movie would be Rogue, because she'd be wearing the gloves and mask, and we'd be like, that makes sense. All you other weirdos not social distancing and being close in the danger room, I don't trust you. Why are you not wearing a mask, Scott? Put a mask on, Scott. Sorry.
Exactly.
Put a mask on, Scott.
Mask on, Scott.
Oh shit.
That's really funny.
Man.
Well, I definitely let's just do it with the regular shit. I like what Marvel's doing. I like their approach to things, and I want to continue that cadence.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping they're thinking on fresh new ways to bring in the X-Men, and not just, I don't want the X-Men shit. I want just mutants on the run, ready to go at any time.
Listen, we have powers. I want them to get the regular stuff done first. Let me get a popular.
But Skinny, one thing though, they've done so much. They've done what, 10, 12 years. By the time the movies start coming back out, they will have done 14 years worth of movies. Do you really think they should start the X-verse, or they should be in the middle of the X-verse?
Yeah, it should be like.
That's what I'm saying. They should already exist. Yeah. They've just been hidden by Xavier. Except for those hidden are just the original 5. We don't know what missions they have or whatever the fuck's been going on.
Okay. You know what they could do is have Charles he probably did a mass brain wipe of society, which is why the Avengers and all these people were never aware of what was going on with the X-Men, even though they were a part of it at some point. You get what I'm saying?
I think Have they done that story in the comic book? I feel like they have. They did it with what's his name? Blue Marvel. That's Blue Marvel.
But yeah, you could do something of the like. Yeah. And if there's a character who can do that, it's either Doctor Strange or what's his name?
I want to do it whereas Magneto and him, they're on the same team, right?
Yeah, I don't want Magneto as an enemy anymore. I'm tired of that.
So it would have to be post Age of Apocalypse.
Well, that's what he said.
Because it would take see, okay, in the beginning of the Age of Apocalypse, they had Dawn of the Age of Apocalypse, whereas
Right.
Xavier was dead, and instead Magneto trained everybody. On the team was the original 5 minus, I think, Cyclops, and Wolverine had joined in his place, and Storm was already there. You could do a mix of that, whereas it is Professor X and Magneto training the X-Men, and you have, as I mentioned, the original 5 plus Havoc and Polaris, which would be Scott and Havoc are brothers, and then you have like Polaris, his daughter.
Right.
Silver, he could be either dead, we don't know whatever what, but then something happens whereas they need to be hidden, or Xavier did something. That something could be Shadow King. That something could be Apocalypse. We don't know. But whatever it is, it was hidden from the MCU to kind of protect them. It could even have happened within the 5 years of Endgame. Homeboy.
But the thing is, I find it, as much as I'd like that to be true, I find it almost
too good to be true.
Yeah, like it's almost impossible for either Doctor Strange, someone to not have been aware of this rift in time.
But if anything, even if they're aware, one of the things they might do is they just might not be. They're not telling people because it's better to protect.
Maybe.
Like, imagine if you're Doctor Strange and you know Doctor Strange did 14 million different alternate realities and saw the possibilities, and now we know his movie is going to be him possibly traveling through multiverses, where the timelines did different things. But also at the same time, he could be one of the guys who knows and just didn't say anything because it's just like, hey, it's good to have a secret team of fucking mutants who we can call on if we really ever need it. The same way they did in the Sentry comic book.
Or, hey, maybe we really don't need to touch on that on that. Like, we kind of have a big purple guy trying to kill us. I probably shouldn't tell them about this thing called Apocalypse.
That's true.
That's funny.
So
yeah, honestly, I'm excited to see what they do with it. I'm just glad all the properties are back. At home. And
except for the Hulk, technically, but whatever.
Yeah, but whatever.
They still have that. Hopefully, they can work.
Spider-Man 2, technically, and and a lot of those side characters, but that's a whole other situation. Let's get into View the Right Thing.
View the Right Thing this week. I'm going to be talking about the new RTJ 4 Run the Jewels 4 album that just dropped. I don't know if you guys have been listening to it or have had the chance to listen to it yet. But yeah, this is the fourth studio album by the team, Killer Mike and LP. And I gotta say, guys, this is a pretty wild ride. I didn't realize the album had dropped when it did, and that the moment at which I found out it had dropped, I was in the middle of a bike ride. I pulled over and went on Spotify and downloaded the album from Spotify so I could continue listening to it while I biked. And I gotta tell you, my 24-kilometer bike ride over the weekend that I did for some stupid ass reason was very, very entertaining because I had this like 40-minute playlist on loop just going over and over. There's a lot of people on the album. That's one of the things. We have, if you guys haven't heard Ooh La La, which was the main single, it features, that track is fucking dope. That's Greg Nice and DJ Premier. That one I really fucking love. There is the one with Pharrell, Just, which is stylized as JU$T. That one features Pharrell and Zach De La Roca from Rage Against the Machine. That track, like 2 Chainz, yeah, 2 Chainz has a track on it too. Yeah, man, I really like the album. The production is on point. The music is great. Mavis Staples on Pulling the Pin with Josh it's just like you know, one of the reasons the guys put out the album for free on their website, and because they were just like, we want to release something into the world when things are kind of crazy so that people have something to like entertain them. And I think they hit it home. Like, I really like this album. The music is good. Every track was solid. Like Holy Calamafuck, Goonies versus E.T. Like, I'm looking at every track and I can't think of a track that usually there's one track that I'm like, I could do without this one. Or if I could decide the order of the tracks on this album, I'd probably move a few things around so that it could flow a little bit better. Because sometimes that's one of the things, right? It's not even just the album's great, but sometimes the flow's a little weird to me. But this one, the whole team that worked on this from beginning to end, it feels like they just knew what they were going for and did it. And even if I feel like they released it almost like a rush. I don't know if they released it as a rush or if it was originally planned to come out when it did, but I'm happy they released it, and I really do think it's worth listening to. I think people would really enjoy it, and if you're looking for something to amp you up, it's one of those albums that like you can listen to when you're working out. It's one of those albums you can listen to when you're just relaxing, and that I think goes a long way, because that's not easy to produce music that you could have in both instances, but these guys somehow figured out how to hype you up but also give you a chill vibe,
and not make it feel like out of place. Like they actually, song placements is very important too, because you can have all the hits you want, but if you don't have them in the right order, sometimes that could also work against you. It's crazy how that there's so much that goes into planning an album,
and that's it. Like, I really think however they sat down, whoever they sat down with, whatever the team was, these guys looked at this album and said, this is how we want to present it, because this is how the story flows best. And I got to say, it does. It flows really well. So if you guys want to check it out, you can go out to their website. You can download a free version of the album is available right now. They also have a $9.99 HD version, so high quality version of the album that's available. And the physical comes out in September. They have a whole bunch of stuff, like vinyl and all this stuff that you guys can get, t-shirts and whatnot. I might get one, because I was gonna wear the shirt today and I stupidly forgot to, but I have the Optimus Prime and Rodimus Prime doing the Run the Jewels.
That was dope.
And I love that shirt, and I should have worn it while I was doing this, because that would have made a lot of sense. But in any case, check it out, guys. It's on all the major streaming platforms too. And it's the type of music that I would say when the physical comes out, get the physical if you want, if you're into that thing. Or if anything, pay the $9.99 for that HD quality version of the album, because it's good. That's it.
Yeah,
that's my
one
review.
thing I started doing is ordering the vinyls.
Yeah, my buddy does that. A lot. He has a really nice vinyl collection, and whenever it's something he really, really likes, he gets the vinyl, which is
I have a freaking record player that's just been sitting here for the longest time. So
I need a record player.
Start putting it to use.
I need a record player. Yeah.
They make some pretty cheap ones, like relatively inexpensive ones now too, that actually last a little while.
Okay. I should check that out.
I use mine is like for sampling and stuff if I ever feel inspired to.
Oh, dope. Okay.
I don't sample enough as I'd love to though.
You definitely should more.
It's a record player that you can sample from?
Well, so it's a
USB connected?
It's hard to explain, but it's expensive. It's like it has a USB. I can play it directly into my DAW and transfer.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. Yeah, I would do that at my dad's place with his Technics, except for so we would record it into Cool Edit. We would play the vinyl, record it into Cool Edit, and then put that and sample that.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But see, with Audio Technica and the MK3, the Machine MK3 that I have, I can literally plug it straight into the machine. Press play and it records right into it.
Oh, dope. Wow. Just for anyone who's listening and doesn't know what DAW stands for, Digital Audio Workstation. It's the...
Did you have to look that up too?
No, I know what a DAW is. That's what I studied in school, remember? I studied sound engineering, but I realize a lot of people don't know what DAW is, so I'm always just like, like if anyone's listening and they heard you say DAW, they're just like, cool, what's a DAW?
This is one of those moments where you felt the need to explain
Because I specifically for me, I went to university and learned what DAW meant, but I don't know that everyone who's like, I know you guys do because you guys are producers. Dave, did you know what a DAW was before we just? No, yeah. And that's no shade on him.
Like, why are you asking me out of all people?
Well, it's funny that you just let it pass. You're like, I don't. I'm not gonna tell him I don't know what it is. Doc doing the people's work.
I'm trying. What else do we got on the docket? Who else watched what this week?
There's a movie called The Kitchen.
Okay.
And it's starring a bizarre cast I didn't really expect to be put together.
Okay.
It's Elizabeth Moss,
Melissa
McCarthy, and Tiffany Haddish.
Oh, that's the one that's based on the comic book.
Based on the comic book, The Kitchen, which is based on the wives of this Irish street mob, or whatever you want to call them. I forget what their organization was. Anyway,
Dave out here trying to get the girls thirsty with a kitty cat. Calm down, Dave.
For real.
You just jumped in my lap. What do you want? Just sit down.
Bro, I see you pick that shit up, boy.
I know, eh?
Yeah,
Jumped
you
in my
bugged
lap.
me around
I
my leg.
swear.
Dave, it's on camera. We can see you picked him up. Get the fuck
That's
out of here. He
fine.
jumped on my lap.
Mr.
Jump on me down here. Jump
Mr.
down.
Check My Live.
Oh my
That
god.
is great.
That was
Oh,
great.
live, man.
I love teasing
Nah,
you,
pick your
man.
cat up, dude. Don't let him stop you from playing with your cat.
Yeah, yeah. We're
Oh,
just
he's
bugging
bugging
you.
you.
We're just
Stop
bugging
it.
you. It was just so
Nothing
good. You're just like, he jumped on my lap.
Okay,
We're
yo.
all like, yo, we saw him
So the
jump
kid-
on you. We saw you pick him up, homie.
Yeah, it's because he did the thing. Anyways, I'm not gonna-
Yeah. Go ahead, Toby.
Why are you biting into this, Dave?
I know.
Why are you're playing into it?
Oh, shit.
So it's based on a graphic novel. Mob wives, they're left alone after their husbands go away and they don't have any source of income. So now they decide, hey, our husbands they've been sort of closing us out of the business.
Yeah.
Now that they're away, we need to sustain our living. Our kids need money, all these things. We're gonna take over the business.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of like how the women end up taking over and like running things. Now,
Does it feel like
what's
widows?
funny about the kitchen,
Okay, sorry.
it's legit widows.
Okay, I was
Oh,
just gonna
It's-
ask. Yeah.
So if you've seen Widows, it's exactly the same premise.
Oh man.
Either husbands get killed or husbands go to jail.
Okay.
The wives now start doing the side of the business that brings in the money, and then they start enjoying the right, what comes with that
Okay.
sort of domain. But the kitchen kind of touches more on that lifestyle versus Widow is kind of more of like there's some deception going on,
Yeah.
and there's like a murder mystery kind of thing in that. Whereas the kitchen is literally, there's not enough, it's a lot of fluff.
Hmm.
There's not enough depth to the actual situation.
Okay.
You don't really understand, like they give you a little bit of a hint into Tiffany Haddish's character's motivations,
Okay.
but the way the plan plays out, you're like, oh, come on, that's a bit of a reach, a bit of a stretch for her to have done all that.
Okay.
I'm not going to give it away, but just to give you a sense of her plight in this movie, she's obviously a black woman, and she's married to one of the Irish mob guys, and she's always dealt with racism within the organization itself, even the mom, right?
Yeah.
So she's kind of had a hard time in this family, even with her own husband. So when he goes away, she's one of the wives that didn't really care. She didn't go visit him, didn't go see him, right? Because she's been put through hell in this whole. But like, you start wondering like, why did you stay this whole time? But I guess maybe she didn't have a choice. Who knows?
Yeah.
Or maybe she's just been waiting for them to mess up, and like things start getting revealed again to that effect. But this to say, I get the casting.
Okay.
I just don't think there was enough chemistry to make it work. They were so disjointed in their motives. Elizabeth Moss was probably the better actress of all of them. She was kind of like this. Her husband. So all three of these guys know each other. Her husband was like you beat her all the time.
Oh.
So again, she was also another one who didn't really. So her and Tiffany Haddish were the two who didn't care about their husbands, whereas Melissa McCarthy's husband was supposedly nice to her.
Okay.
The whole time. Like I said, there's no depth. It's still worth watching. There are some light moments, but I didn't take them seriously in terms of like I didn't believe that they could run things the way, and they didn't the way they took over is they just showed up and started going to the guys who work with their husbands and saying, "Hey, we're running things now. You're working for us now."
But who was running things while they were like in between their husbands?
Exactly.
Oh, okay.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's not.
So,
you gotta.
There was one guy who said he was running things, and then the way they got rid of him was very like. Again, it was like, oh, that's not how it would work. The guys wouldn't let you do this.
Yeah, it's not that easy.
It was not believable at all. It might have worked in a graphic novel. So that's the thing I haven't. So I actually ordered the graphic novel.
Okay,
because I feel like this could be one of those we talk about on That's Canon.
Okay. Yeah, because one of the things that we all know it. Even I think the best example recently that people have heard about is the Percy Jackson series, and how the writer of the original books said, "I've never watched those crap ass movies, and I don't plan to. I'm happy that Disney Plus is going to be doing a series based on my books now because we're going to do it properly." Sometimes they just cut stuff, and writers and directors do not see the same vision for the story, and that's the thing. I'm wondering.
I feel like the meat was probably what was cut off here. Not gonna lie, they kept all the fat and took off everything of substance.
Ah, damn.
It was just a lot of fluff, a lot of cutscenes. They try to insert some jokes. Obviously, you have Melissa McCarthy there. There's one scene where she's like counting money. They're sitting there on the couch counting money. Elizabeth Moss keeps tripping her up. So she's like 70 and then she's counting. She's like 10, 12. She's like, oh, stop. You're going to make me lose count. Literally, this is a scene in a serious mob.
Yeah, I was going to say that's not
I'm
impressive.
like, come on. So yeah, it was a swing and a miss. Big one.
Okay.
But it's still worth the watch.
Okay.
Especially, and I think my sort of tolerance for quality has gone down in the past 3 months.
It's yeah.
So
there's a pandemic. We're watching anything, folks.
Yeah. I'm giving things a bigger try than I ever have.
Yeah, if Penny Dreadful, City of Angels or whatever, if it wasn't a pandemic, I would have stopped, man. Some of that stuff, I'm like, I don't know, guys.
Dreadful, for lack of a better word.
Yeah. I mean, I funny enough, I like it, but it's one of those things that I would wait till the season was done and binge when it's done. But because it's a pandemic,
they call it Penny Dreadful? Because it's apparently nothing to do with the original Penny Dreadful series.
Dude, I'll make it super quick because we're only supposed to stick to one thing each. I think the reason they're calling it Penny Dreadful is I think one of the characters is the devil. And Penny Dreadful, she was dealing with the devil. That's the only thing, because they just referred to one of the characters as the Beast recently, and I was just like, oh, is that who you were supposed to be this whole time? I was like, what are you talking? I did not know that this character was supposed to be the devil. I never expected that. And the fact that they called the character the Beast in this last episode, I was just like, oh, that's who you're supposed to be? Okay.
Like no merit.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just yeah, it's annoying, but that's the thing. If it wasn't pandemic, I'd wait till the whole season was done and binge it one shot at 1.5 and be like, cool. But because it's pandemic and I've watched so much other stuff that like I'm caught up to almost everything I like to watch, I'm now having to wait because there's not anything for me to binge. Yeah. Oh,
it's so true.
I'm gonna.
I don't know why I'm even saying this, but I started getting into the damn baking shows on Netflix.
Yo, I'm watching MasterChef season 10, and I am actually into that shit. And it bothers me how much I'm into this and how mad I'm getting when I know. I haven't finished it. So if you guys are in the comments and you know who won, don't say nothing. But I'm like, I'm
watching all of them. The Great Canadian Baking Show.
Yeah.
The Just Desserts, the Sugar Rush.
Pandemic life is not. Pandemic life. Pandemic life is a nasty dude. I'm watching shows that I would have like. I watched the first episode of the new HBO Max Craftopia show, where it's like kids have a competition with crafts. They call me the king of cardboard. They call me the queen of. I'm like watching it, and I'm like, Brian.
So
turn
they're
it
all
off.
like
Just
that.
turn it off.
All the Netflix. Is it Netflix?
No, this one's on Crave /
it's
HBO
the same
Max.
format though.
Yeah.
Sounds like the same format. There's always a new catchphrase for that judge or that host every episode.
Yeah, guys.
It's painful.
It's actually, honestly, again, I'm enjoying it. It's not painful. I'm literally enjoying.
I'm finding it painful. MasterChef, no, because that's actually entertaining. And you start to feel for some of these characters. Like you're just like
characters.
Oh, dude. You guys know how I feel about reality TV. Get at me in the comments if you disagree. But everyone on reality TV is a character. They are not
they're
not
chosen
themselves.
for that.
Yes. They are characters. Yeah. They play a character. Some shows will let you play your character bigger than others, like RuPaul's Drag Race. Those are characters that they're playing that they bring to the stage. But then you have MasterChef, where those are, I'm a real home cook and I love my kids. I'm married to an Indian man and I put Indian spices in everything I make. Why is this something we're doing on a weekly basis? Why is Gordon Ramsay having to tell you stop putting Indian spices in your food, you Midwesterner, every week? Like, you know what I mean?
Oh man, I don't want to out him right now, but it's just too funny to not. But Devin, actually, I don't have to out him. I'm outing myself. He just messaged me privately and said, I watch Nailed It, which is another baking show, but it's more like for amateurs.
Nailed It.
He's like, I watch it with my kids. LOL. I'm like, I have no kids, and I watch it.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah, no shame in that one, homie. Nailed it. Because
Yeah.
Nicole Byer is actually an interesting host.
I'm also doing it to support her for the most part too.
Yeah, she's
why not?
Yeah, Nicole Byer is pretty dope. I like her.
Yeah.
She's best friends with Shasir Zameda from SNL from a couple years ago, and I like
Lauren
both of them.
Lapkus too.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah. Anyway, sorry, man.
They have a few
we weren't.
podcasts
We weren't supposed to go on that long. Who else has a nice subject that they wanted to talk about? What else do we got?
Well, I watched Lovebirds on the weekend because of your guys' suggestion. It thumbs up hardcore. It was actually exactly how you guys described. It was like at first you really think it's gonna be some love story, then it just goes completely off the rails. What I thought.
Now, do you want to spoil it? It's been a couple weeks now.
No, I mean,
All right.
You saw it?
Yeah.
Okay.
That Portobello shit was fucking funny.
Which
yeah.
one?
The Portobello scene was damn funny.
Yeah.
Yes.
But you have to know to know where that's from. So I don't know what the director was doing with it. But...
Kumail himself, he's one of the co-writers. He's definitely a comic book geek.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because they look exactly like the Corvallis, and I was just like, are you guys gonna act like this is just a secret society, or are you gonna acknowledge that you are full on ripping off a panel from Batman comic? Because I looked at that picture and I was just like, yo, this
scene
is
for scene.
This is like, yeah. Dude, my favorite part though, when they say remove your mask, and I turned to my partner, I was just like, these dumbasses are gonna remove their mask.
Yeah.
And in a secret society, you never remove your mask. I wouldn't have removed my mask, and
I would have loved for them to be like arguing back and forth while the guy is giving a speech about there's imposters in our midst and we need to remove our mask, and just them arguing and then deciding last minute not to take it off. And no one takes it off, and the comedic effect in that is the host of the event now has to go. All right, I guess we're all members.
Yeah,
and then just keep going, right?
I was hoping that they would realize, like, a secret society, you don't take off your mask. That's not a thing. Like, anyways, that was funny. I thought that was a good secret.
Yeah.
Right.
But like the movie, what I thought was interesting about it was like. Because I mean, the end is like not some crazy payoff. It's not like something crazy happens.
That's what I was trying to tell you guys.
Yeah.
The end is literally them realizing they could have gone to the cops the whole time.
But the thing is, it was still entertaining the whole way through, which I was like, huh. All right.
It was entertaining.
Yeah.
We said it was good. It was a fun watch. Yeah. Really good watch.
I like when they beat up the bro at the apartment and they like start talking tough to that dude. I don't know if you guys recognize that dude, but that dude was on Cal Penn's recent show that he had on ABC that got canceled. But sorry, I know.
Didn't watch that show, so I don't know this guy. Sorry, buddy.
This is how much bad TV I watch, guys.
Now you're just frat boy number one. At least he's on the call sheet.
Yeah. Wow. That's true, eh? He went from being like third or fourth build on a sitcom to frat boy number one. That's so sad. Ah, damn. That's so sad. This poor boy.
Oh, man.
Hopefully it leads to other things. I don't know. It's funny, too, because on the show with Cal Penn, he plays a frat boy. Like the show is about Cal Penn's character helping people who are illegal immigrants get their papers. And that character, he grew up in America. He never knew he wasn't born in America. So he finds out that he's what are the dream kid? What is it called in the States? The thing with the
Wonderkin?
No, there's that term, the DECA. There's that term for kids who are brought in and they spend their whole life and they technically have a status in the States, but it's not an official status. They call them dreamers. There's some term. Anyways.
Okay, I'll look it up.
Yeah, well, I know AOC was referring to them a lot at one point because they were trying to get rid of the protection that those kids had. And DACA, okay. And
there's also dreamers.
Okay, I was right. Those are the terms. Yeah, so that kid is a DACA kid, and then he finds out that he didn't know he was a DACA kid. He grew up in the States. His parents never told him he wasn't born here. So he spends his whole life living in the United States only to find out, oh yeah, homie, you're not from here and we're going to kick you out. and that's his character. But he's like a frat boy, like a full-on just regular-ass white dude frat boy who now is like going to get kicked out. And all those racist conversations he's had about immigrants, he is one of them.
Oh, snap. That's perfect.
Yeah, that was pretty funny.
Okay. Was it a good show?
No, very bad show.
Oh, okay. Well then, great premise though. I'll give him that.
That's
on the premise
thing.
and what I've heard.
The premise was good. I just don't think it was well executed.
That's the key. You can have all the ingredients, but if you don't put it in at the right temperature, it's not gonna cook right.
There you go. Bong.
You're watching way too many baking shows, bro.
Did I just make a baking reference just now? There you go. if you don't put the creme at the same time,
the middle, it's gonna implode. You need it to puff. You need it to puff. Oh shit!
Oh man!
Vinny, how is Mortal Kombat? Get me out of these baking conversations. I'm getting nervous.
So
is this a show? What is this?
This is the cartoon one. It was dope too.
Okay, so you saw it, right?
Yeah, I saw it. It was good.
Here's the thing. I didn't actually quote unquote see it.
What is it? What are we talking about?
It's an animated film based and taking place during the timeline of Mortal Kombat 1, the one that we know, not the crazy shit that's happening now. But it tells you the story through the lens of Scorpion, who was a warrior back in the past, and he was essentially betrayed to think that Sub-Zero killed his child and himself, but it was actually like
his whole village.
And his whole village.
Yeah.
And it wasn't Zero himself. It was like not Shinnok. It was somebody else. It's gonna bother me, but so essentially, it goes through that whole trial of showing Scorpion becoming Scorpion and wanting revenge, while also showing the kind of Mortal Kombat 1 happening. I saw this movie I saw a YouTube scene of there's a part where Goro is like doing the thing to Jax, ripping off his.
That was pretty wild.
Okay, my whole commentary on this movie is that I'm into this because it's Mortal Kombat. I'm into the gratuitous violence where they show you the violence. They show you the arms being ripped off. It's exactly like the game now where they go into that X-ray mode and show you the
it's
bones.
almost too much, man.
Okay, so check this out. It's too much, right? Yeah. This is what you expect to see from Mortal Kombat. So this is acceptable to me. But this is the type of shit we were seeing in Justice League, and I'm like, what the fuck is that?
Oh, okay. Yeah.
This stuff belongs in Mortal Kombat, which is why I loved it. The fight scenes are sick. I don't know
they're
wild. Who did the animation, but like there's one point where Scorpion is human, and these guys go after his village, and with his son, 8 years old,
on his back.
Yeah. Oh my god, yo,
dude, it was wild.
I'm excited to see this now.
He starts cutting up these ninjas. At one point, he beats this dude down, cuts off his arm, and then chops him down with the arm he cut off. And then in order to just kind of like get the axe that he was holding on with his dead hand, he just cuts the hands off. Like he just goes this. You just see the fingers just like shatter into pieces. It's so good. There's another point where he's in hell and a demon that's there to torture him. Like obviously you can't die, but you can feel everything in hell.
Yeah.
So this demon's talking shit and he's just like, you're here for all of eternity and I'm going to kill you. And he's just like, okay. He's just like, how do I get over there? He's like, you won't. You have to get through me. So Scorpion proceeds to kill him, taking the chains out of his arm, like swallowing something, spitting lava at a chain. It burns off, taking a chain down, killing this demon. So he does that, and then these other demons are like, "The fuck? What are you doing? Like, there's a million of us." He's like, and there's only one of you. My man, pulls dude's head off. Who talked to him saying, "There's a million of us. We'll kill you." He's like, -1.
Yeah. It was so wild.
I lost it. It was that.
Also sounds like the voice acting was on point.
Yes,
voice acting was on point. Animation's on point. It kind of seems like the story was on point, and I would watch a series of this to kind of see the story of Mortal Kombat because it's not through just one person's lens; it's through multiple lenses.
Yeah,
it's dope. It's brutal, very brutal. Sonya gets her face mashed.
Dude,
people get hurt.
I think my favorite character is Johnny because Johnny genuinely thinks they're filming a movie for more than half of the film. Like more than half of the movie, Johnny's running around being like, "Hey, where are the cameras?" And he's just doing shit, and you're like, "Johnny, this is not a movie, dude. How are you not figured this out yet?" And he's just like fighting people, and at one point he's just running from a dude, and he just gets lucky and ends up surviving. But you're just like, you can't just keep running and hoping to survive. Like it was pretty good.
When he's fighting Baraka?
Yes, yeah.
Yes. He's basically almost like getting killed by Baraka, and then he just runs out of the building and it crushes him. He just dives off. You're like, no, yeah.
It's fucking
That's
pure
crazy.
luck. Pure.
So
That
yeah,
sounds really good, man. Actually, I'm actually
was.
pumped to see this now.
Yeah.
Scorpion's Revenge.
yeah, it's Mortal Kombat Chronicles Scorpion's Revenge. It's
It was fun.
very good.
Yeah.
An hour and a half, like full length.
Yeah, hour 40.
I think
maybe.
so. I don't
Dude,
remember. Yeah.
Amazing. I got something to go to bed with.
Yeah, no, it's accepted violence. Like you're gonna see people.
Oh,
You're literally.
I'll be fine.
the X-rays. Dude, there's one scene where Scorpion goes into berserker mode.
Yes.
That shit was
That's
wild.
sick.
That shit
Basically,
was-
just slices into 7.
Yo, yeah, that
So
was.
did it tell you how he gets the what's it called?
You kind of get. You
The
kind
chain,
of
yeah.
find out. You kind of find out.
Yeah. Okay.
They don't
He's
show it,
chained
but
up with- yeah.
yeah, they kind of show you some stuff.
Okay.
Yep.
Boy,
Cool.
yeah. He goes in. It's kind of nuts.
Yeah,
Everybody.
Scorpion was always I was never a Mortal Kombat fan. I was definitely a Street Fighter kid.
Yeah.
But
was
out of
that?
all the characters, Scorpion was the one character that I was like, yo, this guy's bad. The fact that you can just shoot that spike, pull
Yeah,
people towards you,
yeah,
and,
they kicked
you
it
know,
out.
he was always the coolest to me. I didn't like Liu Kang or anyone else really.
I liked him in Raiden. That was it.
Yeah,
maybe
Raiden's good.
Raiden.
Yeah.
He's a bad guy.
But the movie turned me off of Raiden though.
Who was supposed to be the
Yeah.
bad guy?
Well, yeah, because it's fucking what's his name?
Wait, is
Qui-Gon
Raiden
Jinn?
is Raiden
No,
the
not
bad
Qui-Gon
guy?
Jinn.
Christopher Lambert or whatever.
I just
Chris
called him
Lambert.
Qui-Gon Jinn, but I was
Chris
thinking,
Lambert, yeah. Oh,
who?
you're thinking of Liam Neeson. He said Chris...
No, I'm
No?
thinking of Kwai
The
Chang Caine.
Highlander.
Oh, yes, dude from Highlander that played Raiden.
Highlander.
Yes,
Bad choice.
Christopher Lambert. But who's
Yeah,
Toby
I said,
talking
yeah.
about? Is that who you're talking about?
No, I was talking about the guy who played Kwai Chang Caine. You don't remember those movies?
No, sorry, man.
Oh my gosh, it's what's his name? Kwai Chang Caine is you guys know this guy. God damn it, hold on. David Carradine.
Oh, what's his show called? In the...
He was never in Mortal Kombat.
No,
No, but he was like a martial artist
Yeah,
monk.
yeah.
Back like this
Yeah,
is what David
the
Carradine
sh-
was.
The show that he stole
TV
from
show?
Bruce Lee.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
What's it
Kwai
called?
Chang Caine.
What was the show called?
You're like nothing.
The legend continues.
Yeah, the show is Kung Fu. I know. There was a lot of things wrong with that show.
There's a lot of things wrong with
Didn't
that
they make
show.
a sequel to it?
So bad because it was okay. There was Kung Fu, the movie, where the guy Christopher or whoever was in that
Yeah.
played the original dude, and then in Kung Fu, the series, The Legend Continues, I believe he played like the brother again or some shit. Like
Something like that.
he
Yeah.
played a completely different character while also starring in the movie. That's what
These people.
timeline shit. And you're just like, no, like you can't do that.
That's
Yeah,
so
the
wild.
way he spoke, it was just kind of like you don't realize just how much of a mockery it is of the culture. I get the portrayal was
bad.
trying to be accurate, but like the way he spoke, everything was just an imitation of.
Dude, they
Yeah.
stole that shit straight from fucking. They stole
I
it
feel
from
bad
Bruce
for
Lee.
liking a lot of shows when that I was, as a kid, you just don't know any better.
Well, that's it. We don't know. Like we have absolutely no idea as children the things that go into producing a show and the people who get screwed over, and that growing up and learning about this industry is where you're just like, oh, okay, these are the things they've done to some of your favorite actors and TV shows, and you're like, especially since when you're a kid, you don't know about cancellations. So when your show doesn't come back the next year, you're just like, oh, my TV show's not back. And you just sit there waiting, hoping that it's going to come back, and it never does.
Yeah.
Makes you wonder if everything was earned on good merit
Mm.
in Hollywood.
Guys,
Kung Fu was American Canadian drama.
Yeah, man, David Carradine is Canadian, I think, right?
Yeah.
the Carradines are Canadian? That whole family? Because
Yeah, I
that's a
think so.
family. That I know. It's like the dad from Lizzie McGuire is a Carradine.
Hold on. Let me look. Let me fact check myself.
I
That's
don't
a
think
lie.
the
That's a lie.
Carradines
He's American. He's American.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But the
Yeah.
Legend Continues was filmed in Canada. That was a Canadian show. Right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You guys ready to
Damn.
go to it? Geek news and rumors.
Do it up.
That's right.
Geek news and rumors. What do we got here, kids? What do we got? Netflix launches Black Lives Matters collection of films, TV shows, and documentaries. Yeah, they faced a lot of backlash in the past week for some of the stuff that they had. I don't know if you guys saw the History 101 episode 9 got pulled. I
didn't watch any of it.
The episode that talks about AIDS, and now they blamed AIDS on the Haitians, and the Haitians were just like,
"Yep,
fuck you." y'all taking that shit down.
I heard the backlash. Didn't watch the source material, and honestly,
me neither.
Interested.
Yeah, I have no interest in watching. I watched the first 2 episodes of that history series, and I was just like, okay, you guys are essentially just having someone narrate over random clips. Cool. And then I was just like, this isn't interesting enough to watch the whole way through. To find out that they had episode 9 about AIDS, and that's what the episode was about, though, that's mad disrespectful. So
that's legit. Chapter 8 moving out.
Yeah. Hot damn. But yeah. So that's why a lot of people saw what they're doing as kind of like damage control, not as much the support of black people, but more like
that's where I don't want. That's why.
This is part of the conversation. My words carefully.
I appreciate the recognition of black culture and things that come with it, and the people within it. What I don't want to happen is we're going to put up the words Black Lives Matter, and that's enough. We're going to put content under black creators, black content creators, and that's enough. What I don't want is then an oversight of everything else going on.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's not just about the content. It's not just about the credibility. It's about allowing us to now be recognized for what we are doing. Right? As equally as anybody else, on the same even platform as anybody else, not again segregated from the main content.
Oh, you're sugarcoating what I've been wanting to say for a while.
I'm trying to keep it as kosher as possible.
A pendulum swinging back so far that it segregates us is bad, is what we should be saying. So, telling people to, to support black businesses and stuff like that, 100%, because they were being undersupported and underrepresented. But I don't want it to swing so far that we're the only ones being supported and because here's the thing, and I'll say this very quickly.
It's going to breed a lot of envy.
I'm going to make this very clear, and I'm doing what I always do. I'm looking right at you guys in the camera. And if you guys are listening to this, I'm saying this directly into your ears. Human beings are very jealous creatures. If we start a movement where we only focus on black businesses, entertainment, culture, and community, and we keep saying black, 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 and we're not working as a unit to be equal to everyone, there's going to be animosity. And I'm not saying that we shouldn't be working to get the pendulum to swing. I'm just saying don't swing it all the way to the other end where we're only supporting black. And for the people out there who are just like, but we haven't been supported for a long time, we should get a period of time where we only support black. I'm telling you.
100% agree. I agree with the period of time.
Yeah.
What I don't agree with is that becomes a staple.
Exactly. And I say this because I don't want resentment to become something that ingrains in other cultures and other communities, and then it becomes a whole other argument and war.
You're already seeing it from the onset of All Lives Matter.
Yes.
Just that in itself is exactly what Brian is talking about right now.
Yes.
That in itself.
So
that's okay for the few that are saying it, and that obviously are the people that we actually don't care about those people.
Yeah, not at all. I could give a fuck.
But over time,
yes.
there will be people who aren't on the All Lives side that will probably start feeling like, hey, okay,
yes,
I think we're making moves here. We kind of also want you guys to address these other issues. I think it's more complicated and nuanced that we're making sound right now.
There are so many layers to it. I'm just saying on a base level, think about the fact that every human being has an innate interest in self-preservation and everyone wants to feel special. So if you make one person feel special, and yes, we have made the entire system of oppression is based on making one group feels special. And I agree that we need to dismantle that system. But by dismantling it, if we turn around and make only another group feel special and keep saying this group should only be special, people will feel upset and have animosity towards that. So we need to figure out a way to
for equality.
Yeah,
like,
we got to figure out a way.
The day.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't even know
that's
if
the
we
most
actually want
important
to call
thing.
it equality, because
I do
equality
want
in itself. Yeah, but I feel like it's lost in translation of what it truly means to be equal. Like I don't think we're capable of getting rid of biases.
Yeah,
right? Like any one of us. So when we say equal, it's never equal. I don't think mathematically it's possible for it to be equal. Yeah. What we need to do, though, is write it in black and white on every issue. It's going to take a long time.
Yeah.
It's going to take a while, but it's got to be in a place where, for example, let's go with the crime. If you, Dave, steal $50 and Brian steals $50, same punishment. Period. Yeah. Dude, I don't care what you did before.
You saw that post where the one guy got 2 years and the other guy got 25 years in the same courtroom, same judge, same day, the exact same crime.
How and why?
Like, what the fuck? And that's
exactly.
That's the point.
The problem.
Yeah. Okay. What else do we got in geek news and rumors? Skinny popped back in just in time. Nick Kondo, the lead animator of Sony ImageWorks, announced work has begun on Into the Spider-Verse 2. I know people are very excited for that. Good luck to him and the team. We're excited to see that film in the near future.
2022, man. Damn.
Yeah. But I mean, that makes sense. Dude, think about it, though. Back in the day, it used to take longer to do animation.
I know.
Like, they were what movie was it they were working on? Supposedly they were working on, like, Aladdin, Little Mermaid, Aladdin, Lion King, something, all at the same time, just knowing that each one would, like, roll over, this one comes out, roll over, this one comes out, and they start work on the next one. That's crazy when you think about it.
Still do that. Trust me.
Oh, do they? Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Animation studios, they're always doing something like that. They work on like 8 movies at the same time.
Hot damn. Harley Quinn showrunner Patrick Schumacher? Okay, let's say Patrick S.
Oh, it's Shoemaker.
Oh my God.
Schumacher. Sorry.
Schumacher. God, Brian, what is wrong with you today? Harley Quinn showrunner Patrick Schumacher explains as of this broadcast, the DC Universe has not renewed the show for season 3.
I don't understand that. The show's been great.
Yeah. There's one more episode to come for the finale. That's this weekend. Dave and I were talking about that earlier. I don't know. Maybe they're waiting to announce it after the finale or to see what the numbers are. Or here's what we were saying before. HBO Max is now a thing, and Warner Media is now a thing, and this whole DC universe is probably just going to get merged.
Yeah, for sure.
It doesn't make sense to have people on separate things. It doesn't.
It never made sense to me.
Still not in Canada?
It's still not in Canada.
They had their contingency plan for DC Universe because Marvel doing the whole Disney Plus thing. You want to kind of like associate it with your brand.
Yeah.
And HBO doesn't necessarily scream DC.
Yeah, true.
But I think that's okay. It kind of worked out for Marvel on Netflix in the same sense for a while there. Yeah. So I don't think there's a precedent say here that it can't work. So yeah, I think they should renew it, especially from hearing you guys talk about how good and well written it seems to be. Yeah. It wouldn't make sense not to.
Yeah. Batwoman showrunner Caroline Dries explains why they are creating a new character while discussing the series at ATX Festival at home. So ATX is one of these like writers festivals that they have every year, and they were just discussing the fact that what's the character's name? Ryan something, some other stupid name, Ryder something. Who cares? They're getting rid of Kathy Kane. Ruby Rose is Kathy Kane, and they're going to replace them with a completely new character. We talked about this last week on the show. Ryan Wilder. Thank you. That's the name of it. I'll read it really quick.
So, can I ask a question before you read this?
Sure.
So, Kate Kane is Batwoman, correct?
Yeah.
Yes.
So, are they just because of the modern age? Because mind you, back in the day, a character leaves, you put a new person in the same role, and it doesn't matter. You have to the audience has to suspend disbelief immediately.
Yeah, the soap opera. They call it the soap opera. Are they doing this
because of the right?
Yeah.
Are they doing this because of the social media age and saying, "Hey, we don't want to disrespect you guys and get a backlash"?
I don't know.
By telling you.
Well, I'll read it to you to see because they explain it.
Yeah.
To be honest with you,
Okay.
I did consider the soap opera version of recasting for a hot minute because selfishly, we already have a couple episodes written and transition-wise, it would be seamless, she said. But upon further reflection, and I think Greg Berlanti helped me make this call, he's like, I think we could just reboot Batwoman as a different character. In addition to paying respect to everything that Ruby Rose put into the character during season 1, Dry says it also helps the audience because we're not asking them to address the elephant in the room by accepting a new face as the same person. I agree.
I don't know.
Yeah, you could just replace the actor. I don't care. Who cares?
Yeah, what the frick?
Who
That's
cares?
serious.
Elephant in the room, guys. Elephant in the room. Who cares? It does not matter. Yeah.
No one likes this show.
That is a crazy reason, and I fucking love that she added Greg Berlanti's name to this. Just she wasn't even asked who helped you or who inspired you to make this decision. She said
him under the bus.
Yeah, exactly. I think he helped me. Yeah, I think, and she can go back and say, "Look, I said I think."
Yeah. I have a career. Greg Berlanti.
Yeah, Greggy Boy said it was all good. It's like, what are you talking about?
Oh man, Ryan Wilder. It's interesting to see how this plays out. Who knows? Maybe this might be the thing we needed to go watch Batwoman.
No, I mean, I'm gonna watch the first episode. I want to see who this new character is. I'm definitely gonna watch the first episode to be like.
But what I don't like is the fact that it says that she was in her past inspired by Batwoman. Isn't she the first Batwoman?
Yes.
So how much of a past is
wait. Kate Kane is the first Batwoman. Are they saying Ryan Wilder was inspired, or
they're saying Ryan Wilder is a whole new character who in her past was inspired by Batwoman?
So
I get.
They're leaping forward in time.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say maybe that's what they're doing.
They're gonna jump to the stupid arrow time, aren't they?
No, they wouldn't.
How much past? That's what I'm trying to say.
Are they gonna fix the timeline? Remember we were saying the timeline doesn't make sense in this show. Are they gonna fix the timeline? Oh my god!
They're like, fuck, these guys got it right.
Dude, if they fix the timeline, I'm gonna fucking crack up.
Yo,
I'll die of laughter and still turn off the show.
That is hilarious.
That's
it's
crazy.
So cool how I just don't care about the CW universe, and I used to be gun ho for these motherfuckers.
Yeah, it's pretty.
Yeah, you were. You were up until recently.
Yeah, up until I saw Titans, and I'm like, I'm sorry, guys, I can't.
You saw quality for what quality was.
I saw how it should be done, and even though it's kind of bad, so you're kind of like, you guys are really out here screwing it up, and now this and Flash and have a long-winded man being.
But then you see the other side with Doom Patrol and Swamp Thing and Titans and all these shows coming out.
Yeah,
I'm even gonna give it to what's that Marvel show that kind of teetered up in the second season? Cloak and Dagger.
Oh yeah, I didn't even watch that season.
It was.
Well, I'm sorry. I just read
had an
something.
opportunity. They had a.
What?
I'm sorry. The CW is the same network that has had 3 actresses play this lead character in 3 different seasons on Dynasty.
Yeah, are we talking about what's it
on Dynasty?
What's the mocking.
Dynasty.
Yes. Yeah, there you go.
On the show Dynasty, Crystal Carrington has been played by 3 different Latin women, but you guys can't just replace one white girl. What are you talking about? What are you talking?
What? Come on, dude. They have to pay respects to her acting in the role of being so amazing and iconic.
Oh my god!
And whatever other fluff she said.
Yo, who is Ruby Rose? Like, what kind of dirt is she? This girl can't act her way out of a box, and so you have to give her. Shut up.
I love that line. We have to pay we have to pay respect to everything that Ruby Rose put into the Kate King character in season 1. What?
Yeah. Meanwhile, they've just killed off these actresses.
She put on the DC universe.
Anyways, okay, we got to keep going, guys.
All right. And
this one we probably don't want to talk about too long because this dumb motherfucker fucked up. Elongated man fired from the Flash.
Why are you talking about this?
Garbage character anyway.
I wanted to read the showrunner Eric Wallace, who is a black man. made that's when I saw that Hartlet, what's his name, Harley, I don't know, Sawyer, whatever, elongated dumbass. This guy tweeted a whole bunch of weird stuff, right? If I had a wife, I'd go home and beat her tonight. Something about the only reason I'm not more racist on Twitter is because Al Sharpton would keep dude, just really weird ass things, and we're not talking like that long ago. Like the tweets were from like 2012, 2013, 2014. Like I was like looking at the dates. I was just like, oh buddy, that's not a good look. But the first thing my partner
that's not a good look.
Enjoyed a secret boob viewing at an audition today. That was a tweet.
Yeah.
This man is crazy. This man is crazy. So my partner asked me, she's just like, how did these tweets and stuff not get exposed earlier? I don't know. She's right. But I'll read the statement from...
He didn't have a following in 2012. That's why.
Yeah, but I mean, once someone becomes popular, I feel like people dig through their stuff. And he's been on the CW for 2 years. So, like...
But he hasn't been popular in the CW for that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like there's a weird point where like someone now has the time and go, I really like this guy. Let me go back into his history. So 2012 is still 8 years ago. So who knows how many tweets are between then and now, right? That's a lot of work.
I'll go really quick.
Jeez.
The morning of many of you learned that Hartley Sayer will not be returning to season 7 of The Flash. Concerning his social media tweets, they broke my heart and made me mad as hell, and they're indicative of a larger problem in our country. Because of the present, our country still accepts and protects continual harassment, unconscious or otherwise, terrorizing and brutalizing of black and brown people, which is far too often fatal. That's why our country is standing once again and shouting enough and taking to the streets to bring about active change. I too am committed to bringing permanent change to the work environment here on The Flash. Yes, this is a family show, but it's all for families. That includes black, brown, and brown ones. In order to facilitate this, I will continue to find black and brown writers, directors, actors, and producers of all genders to help tell Flash's story. Their stories are part of the American narrative too, and must be heard. And the more you hear and see us, the more you will begin to recognize one simple fact: we're human beings too. To those who still aren't sure why so many Americans have taken to the streets and to make their voices heard, I ask you to consider this. Every time a black or brown life is harassed, harmed, or murdered, in the case of George Floyd, Ahmaud Arbery, Breonna Taylor, and too many others, our entire country fractures and moves further and further away from any moral authority we often claim to have in the world. Murder is not democracy. Systematic and institutional white privilege is not equality. Suppressing the free press with violence is not liberty. The only way to be free is for all of us to be free. Black Lives Matter.
Interesting. And I know why it was a little bit hard to read this too. As you're reading, I'm like, because it's written on a black background, and the white is kind of like, it's like a bright, it's hard to read.
And I have it on my smaller screen. That's a lot. I don't know why I have it that far back, but
it messes with your eyes when you're reading.
But yeah,
all good, bro. We all know you can read.
Thanks, buddy.
Worry, I can read. It's okay.
I can read, guys. But I mean, a lot of people have been saying, did he deserve to be fired for tweets from a couple years ago? If James Gunn got fired and then got brought back, I'll tell you this. For me, the difference is, and I didn't even know Eric Wallace was a showrunner, was a black man at first. Just off the fact that the lead actress on the show is a black woman and that most of his comments were racist and misogynistic, I was saying you can't keep him on the show because you can't have a black lead and ask her, hey, can you just deal with your discomfort over some of the really weird things? I don't know that Candace is uncomfortable, but let's say she's not uncomfortable. She still has to act uncomfortable because she can't go out there and say, it's all good. You made jokes about beating women and you made jokes about black people. I don't care. The world is saying we need to recognize these things right now. So for her, whether or not she feels comfortable with it, she still had to say, I do not want to work with this person. And I would imagine she does not want to work with this person. Again, I'm not speaking for
the way I want this to go, though, for Mr. Sawyer. Take this as a learning opportunity. Obviously, you met. Like, I hope there's some kind of form of real regret and genuine, like, what the hell was I thinking?
Yeah.
Like, sometimes it's hard to justify your mind state and why you said and did certain things. I know, like, it happens. It's you're just not aware enough. But take that and just be like, hey, like, take a year off, do some soul searching, figure things out, and come back with doing something respectable in the public eye that shows that you do understand and that you are willing to put some value back into the community, and you'll be accepted once again into the fold.
Yeah. Do you think he'll get it?
Because I don't approve of cancel culture.
No, we've always said that. We've said we don't. Cancel culture doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. People at the end of the day need to make a living. I'm sure there are some deplorable, despicable people out there who don't, possibly in the eye of the public, and I get that.
Yeah.
But sometimes, in the same way that I ask that people be all treated fairly and equally, it's okay to give someone a slap on the wrist, punish them for something they did, but allow them to actually
learn
from the situation as well.
I mean, you know what? I'll say it this way. If Rob Lowe can have a second act after filming himself having sex with underage girls, and everyone just seem okay with that after 20 years, and he becomes one of the most popular comedic leading men again, if Mark Wahlberg can continuously have a history when he was younger, granted, of abuse and aggression towards Asians and blacks and people of color, and can still have a very successful career, I think that Hartley can learn and become a better person, and maybe one day we'll be able to come back. That's what I agree. Yeah.
I think they also were like, listen, the character sucks. And he doesn't fuck up. Why not?
You think if it was if the character was more popular, they would have figured it out? They would have kept him? Like, if the character blew up and had been like one of the most popular characters, do you think they would have figured it out to keep him?
Oh, they would have replaced him. They would have fired him, but they would have replaced Elongated Man. This way, they're just gonna dead out Elongated Man.
Okay, I see what you're saying. Most likely. Okay,
that's probably why they didn't keep him, because they're kind of like, really, like, if it was Killer Frost, this would be different.
Yeah. Right? Okay, I see what you're saying.
What happened with Isaiah Washington on Grey's Anatomy? Do you remember that story?
He made homophobic comments.
Right. Yeah. See, pay for your crimes.
Yeah.
But you should be allowed at some point to sort of show that you've grown.
Yeah, because he came back on the 100 after.
Right? Yeah. But if he's still the same problematic character, he'll cancel himself because everybody already knows what you're capable of.
Yeah.
What you've done. You know what I mean?
Yeah. He came back on the 100 and then was also killed off that show. And then he struck gold with
Jaha. I liked him on the 100, actually.
Yeah, he struck gold with This Is Us.
Yeah.
Oh, he's on This Is Us now?
Isaiah Washington. No, that's not Isaiah Washington.
Yeah, the guy who, that's the same dude.
No, it's not.
You sure?
You're talking about the son, one of the sons.
Hold on.
One of the kids. That's not Isaiah Washington. It looks.
Wait. Are you talking about the dude from Black Panther? The brother? Yeah. Oh, he's not Isaiah Washington. No, Isaiah Washington is older. He's quite a bit older. But what is?
But he also got fired from Grey's Anatomy though.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
Man, Shonda, stop firing all the black people. No, I'm joking. Isaiah needed to get fired.
No, hold on.
Isaiah needed.
What's his name?
Hold on.
Isaiah Washington, and look up Black Panther. He should be one of the top billed because he was the voice of at the beginning of the movie. He's the narrator. He's the one that tells the story of Wakanda.
Yeah,
I was forgetting. But also, you can look him up on This Is Us. Wait, I'm amazed that it's not in the comments. Y'all usually have.
Why Anatomy? Preston Burke dearly did it a 3-season. They will play a prominent role, main characters. They were probably uttered homophobic slurred on set. Yeah, he was fired from.
Isaiah Washington was in Grey's Anatomy. The guy you're talking about from This Is Us was a guy in Black Panther, who played Njobu.
Yeah,
who was T'Challa's dad.
What's his real name though?
That's a great question.
We got a comment here. Agreed. I think to help that pendulum swing, we also need to come out and help other cultures in a time of need, show support to those who supported us. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
that's from Brandon.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. And his name is Sterling K. Brown.
Yeah, that's it, Sterling. But so you're saying Sterling was?
I mean, I see the similarities.
Was Sterling
so I see where you mistaken Isaiah Washington and Sterling.
Oh my God!
Not all black people look alike, Skinny.
You guys don't understand. For years, I thought it was the same dude.
It lives along the same lines of the Tom Hardy and the Logan Marshall Green. They kind of look the same.
Yeah.
Sterling K. Brown and Isaiah Washington, look at them right next to each other. Stop that! Don't do that.
I'm not saying you're right. I'm not saying you're mistaken.
Wait. What's the age difference? What's the age difference? Someone tell me the age difference. Hold on.
I'm going to get a Danny hot take right
now. Sterling is how old? Sterling's born in 76.
He's probably like 40 something.
He's 44. Okay.
Yeah.
And then Isaiah Washington is what?
Okay.
I'd say 50.
Now, Danielle, tell me. No, you're not on. Tell me, does this guy...
Do you want to mute her? Because we can hear her. Okay, there we go. Yeah, Isaiah Washington is 14 years older. He's born in 63. Okay.
There you go. That's jokes.
That's fine.
I was like, something's not making sense here. He's about to...
Really, I look foolish.
No, I mean, you're allowed to make that mistake.
Yes, baby,
I get it. There's like the dimple and the butt chin situation. But aside from that, there's really not much else that ties them together.
All I know is this was great. Okay, we got to wrap it up because we said we wanted to try and keep the show tight, and instead we just went on numerous tangents and still ended up doing 2 hours. Every time. Yeah, guys, that's the whole show. Hopefully you guys enjoyed everything. Oh man, we've legit been on for 2 hours. Mm-hmm. It's 2 hours and 3 minutes. Lord have mercy. For all of you guys who tuned in throughout the whole show, I see that some of you have tuned out towards the end. I know sometimes it gets a little long, but hopefully you guys will catch back in on the podcast when it comes out on Friday. Real quick, I want to give a shout outs to the folks over at the Morning Detour. I spoke to Wizzy earlier today. He told me to hit you guys up and let you guys know they're going to be talking about Bill 61 on the show, Valerie Plante and body cameras. CrossFit is canceled after racist tweet. Police defunding. Mark Wahlberg, Nikki and Takashi working on a project together, and they're going to be having a guest from the Breakdown to Lowdown podcast on the show Friday in Montreal on CKUT 90.3 or everywhere else in the world on the TuneIn app at 7 a.m. on Fridays. That's 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So you guys can make sure to check that out. Guys, that's the whole show. Anything else you want to tell the people, folks?
Namaste.
There we go.
Thank you for getting us to number 3.
Yeah.
The race card is not an advantage. It's literally like getting poisoned in an RPG. Think about that.
Wait. Repeat.
The race card, as people say, as black people pull the race card, it's not an advantage. Think about it as getting poisoned in an RPG.
Okay.
Every time we lose 2 HP. It's not cool.
I can't. Yeah. Okay. I kind of went over my head a little bit the first time, so I understand.
Hitting y'all with the facts. Guys, we're out. That's it. That's all.
Doses.
Peace.
Right.